There is one habit hidden in Machiavelli's writings that can make you unstoppable. Most people never develop it because it demands something rare and hard, complete control over yourself. But if you master it, your power won't depend on luck, motivation, or anyone's approval. It will depend only on you. Machiavelli once said, "He who deceives himself is already defeated." Before you try to control others, or even dream of success, you must first control yourself. This is the first rule of a Machiavellian mind: ruthless self-awareness. Most people live in illusion. They see themselves not as they are, but as they wish to be. They comfort themselves with excuses. "I'm doing my best. I deserve more." But Machiavelli would laugh at that, because truth, no matter how painful, is the only thing that makes you stronger. When you lie to yourself, you become your own enemy. The worst betrayal is not from others. It's from the fake image you create of yourself. To rise above others, you must learn to see yourself like an outsider, coldly and honestly. Ask, what am I avoiding? What am I pretending not to see? Every weakness you hide will one day be used against you. Every flaw you ignore will cost you more than the truth ever could. Machiavelli knew that real power starts with clarity, the courage to face your true nature. Imagine a mirror that shows not your face, but your greed, laziness, fear, and pride. Would you look away or study it until you understood it? The weak avoid that mirror. The strong face it and learn. They turn pain into knowledge and shame into strategy. To practice self-awareness means to destroy your comforting illusions. It means admitting that your failures happen not because life is unfair, but because you weren't ready. It means seeing that your anger hides fear, and your confidence sometimes hides doubt. This brutal honesty is what separates the powerless from the powerful. When Machiavelli served Florence, he observed kings, soldiers, and fools. He saw that the most dangerous men were not loud or arrogant, but quiet and precise. They knew exactly where they were strong and where they were weak. That made them untouchable. Praise did not inflate them. Criticism did not destroy them. They acted not to be seen, but to be effective. Every word was measured. Every silence had meaning. But this self-mastery demands cruelty, not toward others, but toward yourself. It means questioning your own motives and destroying your own lies. Your ego will resist because it hates truth. Yet Machiavelli would say, if you want to command others, first conquer yourself. Once you develop this habit, everything changes. You stop chasing validation because you already know your worth. You stop seeking comfort because you've made peace with discomfort. You stop fearing judgment because no one can expose what you've already faced. You walk through life not pretending to be more, but refusing to be less. And from this awareness comes something even greater: strategic patience. When you understand yourself, you stop acting out of impulse. You see that timing, not effort, decides who wins and who loses. Like a general who studies his army before battle, a Machiavellian studies his mind before acting. He knows when to advance, when to wait, and when to strike because he has already mastered his own chaos. Those who lack self-awareness rush through life, confusing movement with progress. But the one who knows himself moves with purpose. He doesn't run with the crowd, he moves when the time is right. That is the secret habit Machiavelli left behind. Know yourself completely, and you become unstoppable. Those who have truly looked within themselves, who have mastered their own nature, understand a darker truth. Nothing powerful grows in haste. The greatest victories in life or in power don't belong to the busiest people, they belong to the most patient. This is the second Machiavellian habit: strategic patience. Machiavelli saw how impatience destroys even the strong. He watched princes seize power too early, generals attack before the enemy weakened, and men destroy themselves by chasing chances instead of creating them. He warned that fortune is like a woman. If you want to master her, you must handle her with care. To him, impatience was the mark of the unprepared. Acting without timing is fighting the world instead of moving with it. Strategic patience isn't laziness or fear, it's calculation. It's the understanding that time is not your enemy, it's your greatest weapon. Every delay, every pause, every silence builds unseen strength. While others waste energy attacking shadows, the Machiavellian studies quietly. To the untrained, his stillness looks like weakness. But he knows, patience is not waiting, it's positioning. The wise don't chase every opportunity. They choose the ones that multiply their power. A move made too soon is as fatal as one made too late. Sometimes, doing nothing is the most strategic move of all. Even predators know this. The lion doesn't roar before it hunts. It waits. That's not weakness. That's design. Machiavelli saw patience as a form of domination. Those who can't wait are slaves to desire. Those who can wait control desire itself. Picture two men at war. One rushes forward, desperate to win. The other stands still, watching, learning, waiting. When he finally strikes, it looks effortless, as if victory chose him. But it didn't. He built it through patience disguised as stillness. This discipline requires mastering your emotions, silencing the part of you that wants instant reward. Modern minds hate silence. They crave movement, noise, approval. But the Machiavellian mind thrives in stillness. He doesn't seek applause, he seeks advantage. Every second of patience builds focus, tension, and clarity. When he acts with precision, and precision always beats speed. There will be moments when the world seems to move ahead of you. Others will shine, succeed, get noticed, while you stay quiet. You'll be tempted to rush. Don't. Most people who rise fast also fall fast. Machiavelli knew that time destroys the unprepared and rewards those who wait until preparation meets opportunity. He who builds slowly builds something that lasts. Strategic patience is also emotional warfare. Those who react first lose control first. The power to stay calm while others panic turns ordinary men into leaders. When you can hold your tongue, observe instead of react, and act with purpose instead of emotion, you separate yourself from the crowd. Patience, when guided by purpose, becomes pure power. This habit changes how you deal with people. You realize most conflicts don't need to be fought, they need to be timed. The insult you ignore today becomes leverage tomorrow. The silence you keep now becomes authority later. A man who waits for the right moment doesn't demand respect. He earns it. People begin to fear your calm because they can't read it. They can't predict a man who doesn't rush. And when you finally act, the world sees that your moves were never reactions. They were part of a plan long in the making. You move as if fate itself obeys your will. But that illusion of destiny is built on one thing: patience. The ability to delay reward, to hold back your emotions, to wait for the perfect moment. That is true strength. Yet this power cannot exist without the next Machiavellian habit: control over emotion. Because patience requires you to rule your anger, your fear, and your desire. Without control, patience turns into frustration. Without restraint, strategy becomes hesitation. Machiavelli said power isn't about muscle or money, it's about control. To rule others, you must first rule what moves within you. This is the third Machiavellian habit, the art of controlled emotion. Most people are slaves to their feelings. Their anger shows on their face, their fear leaks into their voice, their desire blinds their judgment. They call it being real, but in truth, it's being predictable. And predictability is death to power. A man who cannot hide his emotions cannot lead, negotiate, or survive betrayal. Machiavelli would whisper, "He who cannot control himself will soon be controlled by others." Emotions are not your enemy, they're tools. To feel nothing is not strength. To command what you feel, that is strength. The Machiavellian doesn't kill emotion, he disciplines it. Anger becomes energy, not chaos. Fear becomes caution, not paralysis. Desire becomes drive, not obsession. He uses emotion as a mask when needed: compassion to gain trust, rage to create fear, calm to project strength. But beneath the mask, he stays cold, deliberate, unreadable. In the battlefield of minds, the first to show emotion always loses ground. The one who reacts gives away his weakness. The Machiavellian never does. He smiles when others expect rage. He pauses when others panic. He stays steady while the world trembles. That is control. That is power. And in that stillness, he wins without lifting a sword. Control is not repression, it is redirection. You don't silence emotion, you turn it into strategy. Machiavelli saw how rulers destroyed themselves by following their emotions. Some trusted too easily, blinded by affection. Others chased revenge, consumed by anger. Some froze, paralyzed by fear. They all failed because they were transparent. Their emotions gave their enemies the map to their destruction. But the wise wore emotion like armor, convincing enough to deceive, yet removable at will. They could appear kind, angry, or calm, but underneath they were always in control. This ability to perform without attachment is what separates the strategist from the fool. That is why Machiavelli wrote, "A prince must learn how not to be good." Not because goodness is wrong, but because emotion often hides behind virtue. Mercy given too freely becomes weakness. Compassion shown too early invites betrayal. To master the art of controlled emotion is to master timing, energy, and perception. It means understanding that the world doesn't judge you by your feelings, only by your actions. The man who can cry in private and command in public is not a hypocrite, he is balanced. When emotion is hidden, it becomes concentrated power, and when power is quiet, it becomes influence. There will be moments when silence burns, when your instinct screams to speak, to fight, to react. But remember, every outburst is a confession. Every visible emotion is a clue your enemies can study. The Machiavellian observes himself as if watching another person. He asks, "What does this feeling want me to do? And does it serve my goal?" That question separates the ordinary from the extraordinary, because emotion left wild is chaos, but emotion directed becomes creation. Control sharpens perception. When you no longer drown in emotion, you begin to see others clearly. You notice the tremble in their voice, the flicker in their eyes, the pause in their speech. You read their desires, fears, and ambitions as if they're written on their faces. The one who controls himself controls the story. He becomes the calm center in a storm of reactions. While others are ruled by feelings, they start to orbit around his composure, drawn to his stability, his silence, his power. That is how true power shifts. Quietly, through control, not through noise. But such mastery requires a new habit: observation. You must learn to watch not only yourself, but everything around you. Gestures, silences, small betrayals that most people miss. Because once your emotions are still, your perception becomes sharp. You begin to see what others cannot. You start noticing that every person, every crowd, follows invisible patterns written by their emotions. And when you can see those patterns, you can predict them. When you can predict them, you can influence them. That is the next Machiavellian habit: the power of observation over reaction. When a man controls his emotions, he sees what others are blind to. His mind becomes still, like a lake untouched by wind, and in that stillness, everything is reflected with precision. This is the next step in Machiavellian mastery. Observation over reaction. The art of observation and silent preparation. Real power begins with observation, the art of seeing before acting, studying before speaking, and understanding before deciding. The world belongs to those who watch, not those who rush. Most people live like slaves to reaction. They hear and respond, see and judge, feel and act, all without thinking. Machiavelli understood that reaction is the habit of the powerless. When you react, the world controls you. But when you observe, you control the world. The man who reacts has no time to think. The man who observes has already won before the game begins. All great strategists, rulers, generals, philosophers, and merchants shared one secret. They watched human nature closely. They noticed that people repeat themselves. Every man reveals his desires in small actions, his fears in careless words, his intentions in silence. Machiavelli would watch politicians' gestures, the tone of the ambitious, and the hesitation of liars. He knew power doesn't require prophecy, only attention. Observation is a weapon of patience and emotional control. You cannot see clearly when blinded by anger or pride. You cannot understand others if you are desperate to be understood. So the Machiavellian mind listens more than it speaks and studies what others ignore. He knows every glance, movement, and choice reveals truth. People naturally want to show who they are. They crave to be seen and understood. So he lets them talk while he listens. In their words, he finds their weaknesses. In their excitement, their ambitions. In their silence, their fears. To react is to expose emotion. To observe is to build advantage. The one who watches without responding stays unpredictable. And unpredictability is the language of power. The true observer is invisible. Present, but quiet. Aware, but calm. People underestimate him because he does not seek attention. But his silence is not weakness. It is strategy. He lets others reveal their plans first, exposes their traps, and waits for the right moment. When he finally acts, it feels inevitable, because he already knows how everyone will respond. Observation is not only about people, it's about timing, energy, and environment. Machiavelli believed the world moves in cycles. Fortune rises and falls, alliances form and collapse. The wise man doesn't fight these changes, he studies them and adapts before others even notice. He doesn't ask what is happening, he asks why it's happening, who benefits, and who loses. This habit of looking beneath the surface separates the wise from the ignorant. But observation alone is not enough. You must prepare. The more you see, the more responsibility you have to act with precision. The Machiavellian does not observe just to know. He observes to prepare. He uses every detail to build strength quietly because true power grows in silence, not in the spotlight. The world mistakes stillness for weakness. But the wise know that stillness is preparation, the calm before creation. That's why Machiavelli taught the power of silent preparation. Those who seek attention announce their goals. Those who seek control build quietly. Greatness does not shout. It reveals itself when it can no longer be ignored. In a world obsessed with showing off, silence is a weapon. What is seen can be attacked. What is hidden cannot be stopped. The more you reveal, the more predictable you become. The man who talks about power before gaining it invites his own downfall. Silent preparation means working while others talk, studying while they celebrate, and building while they sleep. You grow unnoticed until your success becomes undeniable. Machiavelli said, secrecy is not cowardice, it's strategy. Every word you share divides your power. Every silence concentrates it. The quiet man is underestimated, and that is his greatest advantage. Silence allows you to grow without resistance. People fear what they cannot read. When they can't understand your motives, they hesitate to challenge you. And in that confusion, you move freely. Every unseen effort becomes a seed of future dominance. But this habit demands mastery over ego. The desire to be seen is strong, but true strength needs no audience. Work in silence. Trust your process so deeply that you no longer need validation. Let your results speak when the time comes, and by then, it will already be too late for anyone to stop you. The power of silent preparation and necessary cruelty. You are both the observer and the architect of your destiny. Your only audience is time. Silent preparation is not weakness, it is strategy. You are not hiding out of fear, you are choosing the shadows because the light is not ready yet. You gather strength where no one can drain it. You refine your ideas where no one can distort them. You build resilience in solitude. Every setback becomes fuel. Every delay becomes a sharpening stone. You don't rush to prove yourself. You wait until your success speaks for you. When you finally step into the light, your results make more noise than any words ever could. Machiavelli understood that patience and silence are connected. A seed that shouts to be seen never grows. Power matures in quiet places, in lonely nights, in years of discipline, in the silence where others lose hope. While the world seeks distraction, you seek depth. While others show half-formed dreams, you forge unbreakable plans. When they notice you again, you have already changed. unrecognizable, undeniable, untouchable. This habit also gives you another weapon, the power to appear humble while preparing to strike. The most dangerous man is never the loud one, it's the quiet one who listens, nods, and remembers. He doesn't argue, he observes. He doesn't boast, he learns. He doesn't show ambition, he becomes ambition. His silence hides his weapons, and when he moves, it's already too late. Silent preparation transforms you from a dreamer into a strategist, from a participant into a ruler of outcomes. But this discipline must be balanced with another truth, what Machiavelli called the philosophy of necessary cruelty. There comes a time when silence must end, and action must begin. No amount of patience means anything without execution. And when that moment arrives, it rarely feels easy. It demands hard choices, choices that separate those who dream from those who dominate. Machiavelli never spoke of cruelty as evil. He spoke of clarity. He knew that to protect your power, your peace, and your purpose, you must sometimes do what is necessary, not what is kind. The world praises kindness, but history is shaped by those who knew when kindness became weakness. Mercy to the unworthy destroys the deserving. Compassion for traitors invites betrayal. Machiavelli saw the world as it is, not as it should be. Every man who rises faces this test. When doing what's right clashes with doing what's required, the weak choose comfort, the strong choose consequence. Necessary cruelty is not a love of pain, it's the refusal to destroy yourself to please others. A ruler who spares his enemy out of emotion will one day regret it. A man who avoids conflict to appear noble only empowers those who exploit him. Power is not maintained by constant violence, but by readiness to act when no other choice remains. Cruelty, used with wisdom, restores balance. It sets boundaries that emotion has blurred. It teaches the world that your kindness is a choice, not a weakness. Those who never set limits become servants to everyone's expectations. They spend their lives pleasing others, and the world forgets them. Because the world respects decisiveness more than goodness. To be Machiavellian is to understand the mathematics of consequence. Every mercy, every hesitation, every delay has a cost. Sometimes one ruthless decision saves you years of hidden suffering. Ending a toxic friendship, cutting off a manipulative ally, these are acts of self-respect, not cruelty. To them, your boundaries will look like betrayal. But to you, they are freedom. The wise act with precision, not emotion. They make decisions quickly, cleanly, without guilt. They do not explain their strength to those who profit from their weakness. Hesitation, not cruelty, destroys more empires. As Machiavelli said, it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Because fear creates respect with distance, while love without limits becomes manipulation. This truth goes beyond politics, it rules life itself. You must learn to cut away what weakens you, the habits that drain you, the doubts that stop you, the people who celebrate your stagnation. Growth is not gentle, it is surgical. You don't become strong by avoiding pain. You become strong by choosing the pain worth facing. Necessary cruelty means saying no when the world expects yes, walking away when comfort begs you to stay, acting while others wait for permission. To the emotional, you will seem cold. To the powerful, you will seem free. Because nothing is more dangerous than a man who is unafraid to make hard choices, a man who has mastered every Machiavellian habit: ruthless self-awareness, strategic patience, emotional control, silent preparation, and necessary cruelty. Such a man doesn't chase opportunity, he creates it. He doesn't beg for respect, he commands it. He doesn't seek control, he is control. He moves through life untouched by chaos because he has become what Machiavelli envisioned: a ruler not of others, but of himself. Power begins in silence, grows through control, and survives through necessary cruelty. The final Machiavellian truth. Master yourself. So, my friend, now you stand at the edge of something rare, the full understanding of a Machiavellian truth that few ever reach. You have walked through the halls of power, where discipline is forged like steel, where solitude is not loneliness but strategy, where masks are not deceit but survival. You have learned that life is not a stage for kindness, but a battlefield for mastery. Where the wise do not control others, they control themselves. Machiavelli never said greatness was given by fate. He believed it was built, crafted by hands that never tremble, guided by a mind that sees beyond comfort. True power, he taught, is not domination over others, but sovereignty over yourself. The ability to act without emotion, to turn pain into wisdom, and betrayal into strategy. This is how you rise above the ordinary. The average man reacts, the extraordinary man prepares. He studies people, reads their desires, and walks between their emotions untouched. That is what separates leaders from followers, the art of moving in silence, of thinking before acting, of treating every choice like a move on the chessboard of destiny. Understand this truth. The world does not reward those who are only good. It rewards those who are useful. Your power lies in your ability to shape outcomes, to turn chance into advantage. And that requires something most lack: mental discipline, emotional control, and ruthless self-honesty. You cannot rely on luck, you must create it. You cannot wait for recognition, you must earn it silently. You cannot beg for respect, you must command it through presence. Power is not loud, it is calm, precise, and intentional. The world belongs to those who think like strategists, who see 10 moves ahead while others are blinded by the noise of the present. Now you understand how all the Machiavellian habits connect: discipline, control, silence, perception, and the mastery of emotion, all leading to one truth: the mastery of self. The true ruler is not the one who conquers others, but the one who conquers his own nature. When you learn to control your impulses, fears, and ego, the world begins to bend toward you. Opportunities appear where none existed. Influence flows naturally. Power is no longer something you chase. It becomes something you are. And now, you must decide. Will you return to the world as it made you, reactive, uncertain, ruled by comfort? Or will you step into the role destiny prepared for the few, the role of the master, the strategist, the silent force that moves mountains without noise? The Machiavellian habit will not make you kind, but it will make you powerful. It will not make you loved, but it will make you respected. It will not make life easier, but it will make you unbreakable. Perhaps that was Machiavelli's lesson all along: not to teach cruelty, but to teach control. Not to turn men toward evil, but to show them how power truly works and how only the wise can use it without being destroyed by it. Remember this, as the old master whispered to his prince: it is not the stars that shape your fate, it is your discipline in reading them. Now go and let this Machiavellian truth unlock not just your potential, but your power.